Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to another edition of The Professional Fan. I am the professional fan, Mike Antonis, and today we're going to be discussing the Shemar Stewart situation, which, I'm a Browns guy, usually cover Cleveland Browns solely, but cover some NFL stuff, and this is slowly becoming a very unique situation for Shemar Stewart and the Cincinnati Bengals. The whole situation, just to recap, if maybe you're not plugged into what's going on over there, Cincinnati Bengals first round pick Shemar Stewart out of Texas A&M has been in sort of a contract standstill, holdout battle with Cincinnati since he was drafted. From my understanding, Shemar Stewart isn't asking for anything crazy as far as guarantees. He's actually asking for the standard. The Bengals are actually looking to give him less and kind of try and renegotiate how these contracts usually go for first-round rookies. And they're making Shemar Stewart the basically the test subject for that. And because of that, Shemar has reasonably held out. Has had a scathing interview that we covered at rookie minicamp. The most scathing comment being, it sounds like the Bengals want to win more arguments than games. And the Bengals are already doing irreparable damage to the relationship that they could be building with their first round pick, a guy that they thought was good enough to draft in the first round. And a guy that, you expected to be your long-term answer after Trey Hendrickson leaves. You have already done irreparable damage to the relationship. And to be frank, it's kind of ridiculous and it's kind of silly that's been happening with this situation. And I have an article from CBS Sports that I would like to bring up. Well, I'll tell you a little bit about it. Alrighty. So there's a couple things that I want to cover for you real quick. So goes on to kind of give a brief recap of the situation, kind of like what I told you. And then it says his options. He could re-enter the NFL draft. If Stewart doesn't sign his contract and he doesn't play football at all in 2025, he could re-enter the NFL draft in 26. If he went this route, it means that any team could draft him next year, except for the Bengals. If a player were to successfully pull off a power move like this, it could throw a wrench into the future of the draft. It would set up potential situations where a player could sit out if he got drafted by a team he didn't want to play for. Stewart would essentially have until November to make a decision on this. He's allowed to sign his rookie contract until the Tuesday following week 10. If he doesn't sign it by that date, then he's not allowed to play in 2025. There's another upside to the strategy. If Stewart went undrafted in 26, maybe his situation with the Bengals scares other teams away, then he would become an undrafted free agent following the 26th draft, and he'd be free to sign with any team. Obviously, he could ask for a trade. Now, however, what's been really interesting about this whole situation is there's another one. And that's he could try to return to Texas A&M for his senior year. And it's been said, CBS Sports College analyst Bud Elliott noted that Stewart has actually been working out in Texas A&M this whole summer. A guy who has some good A&M stuff in the past, he hit me. He's like, hey, Shemar might end up back here. And that he's been there all summer. He's been at College Station. He's been fully involved in workouts. He's holding out from the Bengals. The relationship is toxic. He could try to come back and play again this season and go into the draft again next year. The NCAA has rules against a player returning to college once they've been drafted, so he would likely be facing a legal battle if he went this route, but it could be something that he's considering, and as Elliott noted, it seems that everything with the NCAA is subject to litigation right now. So Stewart could certainly come out victorious if he decided to go to court. Stewart could also head to the CFL to stay in football shape, but he likely wouldn't go that route because if he signs with another professional football league, that would give his NFL rights to the Bengals for the next 3 years. Most likely scenario is that the two sides strike a deal, but as the Bosa situation proved, these things can drag on. When the Bengals are dug in on something, they don't usually budge, so it'll be interesting to see who wins this multi-million-dollar game of chicken. And then it goes on to kind of say how this has been the Bengals' MO for quite some time. They are a very cheap franchise. That's not meant as a slight. That is not meant as an insult. That is just a fact of the matter, folks. The Bengals have and always will be a cheap franchise. They have the least wealthy owner in the NFL. He's legacy owner. And they have wealth from the Bengals. They don't, it's not like Jimmy Haslam, who owned Pilot, one of the largest, oil company gas station chains in America, which he just sold not too long ago for an obscene amount of money. Or, you have all these tech billionaires or the Khan family who owns everything with the Jaguars. Mike Brown is he's wealthy, but in terms of NFL owners, he is poor. Guarantees are something that Mike Brown doesn't usually do. It's not something he likes to do because guarantees in the NFL, if you didn't know, require liquid cash. When the Browns signed Deshaun Watson to that fully guaranteed contract, Jimmy Haslam had to move $250 million from his bank account, essentially, to escrow to basically write that to Deshaun. And that's why, even though the NFL does, in fact, have a salary cap, guarantees are becoming so important to these players, rookie, veteran, or otherwise, that if you can't do guarantees, then you can't. If you can't do guarantees, you can't sign players. And as a matter of fact, if you can't do guarantees, you'll actually kind of ruin your franchise in the long term. You won't be able to keep your best players. I mean, the Bengals are doing the same thing with Trey Hendrickson. They lost Jesse Bates. It's been a rough go for the Bengals. And as a matter of fact, with this Shemar Stewart situation, it kind of brings up a lot of questions. Like, either way, this is going to kind of change the outcome for NFL players in the future. Either the rookie contracts are going to change, which no player is going to like that, getting less guarantees because it sets a precedent, or it's going to change from the owner's perspective where these players now have more power, where they can go back to college if they're not getting what they want, or just avoid entirely by asking for a trade. And I know that article that from CBS Sports stated that he expects some sort of resolution where both sides come to a deal. And I just really don't see that happening anytime soon. Or if at all, really. The NFL, it's a fickle mistress. Agents are fickle. GMs are fickle. And the Bengals have a very cheap owner, a very cheap GM. And I could see this going to the point where Shemar Stewart doesn't suit up for the Bengals. And even if he does, even if this does end in a relationship and the contract's signed and all that stuff, and he is playing for the Bengals, that guy is soured on that team for the rest of his career. You just drafted this guy in the first round, and you are already pushing him away. You're already making the relationship, this business relationship, awful. And I get it. Football is a team dynamic, team sport, all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, this is a business. I like talking about the business side of the NFL, and they are ruining a business relationship. I have been in sales my entire adult life, and if I treated a customer the way that the Bengals have treated Shemar Stewart, I would expect them never to buy anything from me again, or my dealership, or what have you. You're ruining a business relationship. Anybody with any business acumen or that works with the public in any way, shape, or form can see what the Bengals are doing is wrong. I get the football aspect and the fandom comes into it a lot, which I completely understand. I'm a huge Browns homer, huge fandom guy, you know, but you got to just look at it objectively. Like Shemar Stewart isn't doing anything wrong. He's just wants what everybody else has gotten contract wise, what the other 31 players in the rookie class, in his first round rookie class, got. And that isn't a bad thing. Now the Bengals, the biggest issue with the Bengals is, again, they can't afford it. So what's going to be the end result of this? I really don't think that they will be coming into any sort of agreement anytime soon. I really think it's going to be pretty much over. I think this ends not in a trade, but I hear that going back to college thing seems like it's the most accurate. Or maybe he just sits out and the Bengals just trying to find a way to keep him on the roster. But they only have till week 10 to sign this guy. And at that point, you basically, if they wait till week 10, they burned this kid's whole rookie year. That's a whole year of development down the drain. And one, if you're the Bengals, that's stupid because you're setting that precedent. And two, it's stupid because Shemar Stewart as a talent was incredibly developmental talent. His traits as athletic traits, his physical traits were off the freaking charts. His numbers at A&M weren't jumping off the page by any means. He has the ability and the physical traits and talent to get there. But Shemar Stewart, most draft analysts agreed, was a like a developmental prospect. Like he is someone that could become great, but it would have taken development. You are ruining any chance of development because you have ruined this kid's relationship with you. You've ruined his your image with him. I mean, after 4 years, even if you sign him, is he going to want to re-sign? Would you? I'm going to use this as an example because I've been in car sales most of my adult life. So let's say, and we all have purchased a car in the past, and I'm sure car is one of the needs in America. So have you ever purchased a car from a dealership and the process, the salesman, the finance manager, maybe even the dealership, maybe it was just an awful experience all around? You were there 6 hours. You negotiated for 2 of those hours. The salesman wasn't very knowledgeable or wasn't nice or was just not fun to work with or what have you. Have you ever done that? You still bought the car because they had the car you wanted, or you were already too deep, so you had to buy the car. So you still bought the car at the end of the day, even though it was a shit experience. You drive off the lot, and what's the first thing that you think of? Damn, I'm never going back to that place again. Damn, I'm never going back to that guy again. It's the same thing. We do it on our own daily life. Yeah, Shemar Stewart might end up signing a contract with the Bengals. And, he's still going to buy the car as it was. But bro's never going back there after his contract's up. And I don't blame him. Would you? And again, try and disconnect your fandom if you're a Bengals fan that just happens to watch this. I'm not saying you guys are a bad team. I'm saying you have a bad GM and a cheap owner. And I don't think, bad GM is, maybe that's a little too harsh. I shouldn't say bad GM. I should say stifled. A stifled GM. He is stifled working for the Bengals. And I think any GM would be. I actually, yeah, I'm gonna um, paddle back on that because I mean the Bengals GM is good at finding talent. The Bengals just cannot keep that talent because they cannot afford the talent. All right. And to show you another analogy, I'm a Cleveland baseball fan. The Cleveland Guardians. I love Cleveland sports. The Guardians, awesome at finding talent. I think they have the best farming system in the MLB. Do we keep any of our talent? Hell no. Why? Because the Dolans are cheap. Doesn't matter how good our managers are, how good our GM is, how good the coaches are, anything. None of that matters. Like, yeah, sometimes we'll go deep in the playoffs. Sometimes we'll have a superstar that might stick around for longer than most. But at the end of the day, you find a superstar outside of your most important player. To us, that's Jose Ramirez. To the Bengals, that's Joe Burrow. More than likely, you're not keeping him. I'm shocked that they kept T. Higgins. That was the most un-Bengals thing that I've seen the Bengals do in a while. I was very shocked that the Bengals kept him. I thought he was for sure getting traded. Joseph's in the chat. Like, subscribe, and share. Yes. Oh, totally forgot to do that. I'm 16 minutes in. Never too late. If this is your first time here watching this, please like, subscribe, and share this content. My name is Mike Antonese. I'm the professional fan. I cover NFL content mainly. This is just one show in a myriad of shows on this channel, though. Joseph, who just kindly commented in, also hosts The Real, which covers NFL, NBA, mental health, just real world content. Sometimes we talk about the news, not very often, but we do. Just real aspects of life that's sports focused, on which I co-host. And if any of that sounds like your cup of tea, please subscribe. It's free, helps us out. Trying to get to 500 and get monetized. We're close. We're so close. Help us out. Would greatly appreciate it. And if you share this content with somebody you may know that may like this content, would greatly appreciate it. And feel free to shoot a comment in. Even if you disagree with me, I'd be more than happy to talk to you, debate you a little bit. I love talking to people that disagree with me or agree with me. It's all good. But yeah, back to the topic at hand. The Bengals have a culture problem that I think they need to fix. And it's a culture problem in the internal of the team. It's not like a locker room issue where like the vibes are bad, which is bad for some teams, but like they have a culture problem where like they will not spend money. Like they spent money on 2 wide receivers and their quarterback. I can see spending money on Jamar Chase. He's one of the best. I can see spending money on Joe Burrow. He's one of the best. Joe Burrow does not have an offensive line. He is the most sacked. He was the most sacked quarterback last year in the entire NFL. He was also the least blitzed. If that tells you anything, it's their offensive line is as thin as tissue paper. Their running game, never really had one. Joe Mixon was good. He looked better in Houston. I don't think their running game is going to be much better this year. Again, offensive line problem, but also they've never really kind of prioritized the running back position. Their tight ends are okay, but defensively, the Bengals are hard up, guys. So like they are hard up. That defense, guys, if Trey Hendrickson decides I'm not playing without a contract, I'm not going out there, I'll just retire or whatever, and Shemar Stewart holds out, like they got nobody. I think Jermaine Pratt was released, who is their leading tackler. Sam Hubbard, who is one of their better guys on the line, retired. Dax Hill, who was a first-round pick either last year or the previous. I can't remember. Dax Hill hasn't worked out as of yet. Their corners are shaky. Like, the Bengals are going to have some serious defensive struggles. And Shemar Stewart, who was supposed to be their fix, they are just burning that bridge. They said they set fire to the bridge and then poured gasoline on it. And the Trey Hendrickson stuff doesn't help either. Because, like, again, it goes back to, is Shemar Stewart going to stay? Even if the Bengals signed him right away and none of this shit happened, Trey Hendrickson led the league in sacks last year, and they are nickel and diming the guy and haven't signed him. How does that make any sense? If this was any other team, look at the Browns. Myles Garrett penned a letter, asked for a trade. You know, I don't. My plan was never to go from Cleveland, Kansas to win a Super Bowl. All this other stuff, just openly dramatic comments between both parties in that situation, and was holding out for a contract. And what did the Browns do? They opened up their pocketbook and made him the highest paid non-quarterback ever. And here, I think Myles Garrett deserves that money. Myles Garrett is a top 5 player in the entire NFL. I truly believe that. So that's what they do. I'm not saying you make Trey Hendrickson the highest non-football player ever, but pay the guy what he's or highest non-quarterback ever. You know what I meant. But pay the guy what he's worth. I mean, Trey Hendrickson is the engine of your defense, much like Myles Garrett is ours. And you don't sign him, and then you burn that bridge, and then you draft a defensive end who sees that whole thing going on. And again, if even the Bengals decided to not mess it up with Shemar Stewart like they are, and they just sign Shemar right away, Shemar still got to look at the Trey Hendrickson situation. It's like, well, if you're doing it to that guy, and he was pretty good, he led the league in sacks. He had 18 sacks. That's a lot. What are you going to do to me when my contract's ready? When my 5 years are up on my rookie contract, what are you going to do to me? Yeah. What if I don't have 18 sacks? What if I have 12? What if I average 10? You're not going to pay me what I'm worth. It's just sad, man. I feel bad for Bengals fans, really. I love dogging on the Bengals, but I feel bad for you guys because your team is here. The Browns make some dumbass mistakes, but at least we pay our players. I know the Nick Chubb stuff. I mean, he just aged out of their parameters, but I mean, here we paid Jerry Jeudy before we even knew he was good, or at least worth the money. We paid Myles Garrett, paid all our O linemen. You know what I mean? We shelled out money for Deshaun Watson, even though that was a mistake. Like I said, we make mistakes, but we paid him the money. We tried. And the Bengals just don't do that, man. Jesse Bates is still the best safety in the league. Didn't pay him. Now he's in Atlanta. Looks good. Man, they just don't pay their guys, except 2 wide receivers. And maybe that was just to make Joe Burrow happy and not piss him off. At least that's the one smart thing they're doing. Let's not piss off the quarterback. Because that would be hilarious. Could you imagine those headlines? Joe Burrow demands trade. Oh my God. But where do we go from here? I'd love to hear what some of you guys have to say. Those watching, if you want to comment in, where do we go from here? What do you guys think the Bengals do, if anything? If nobody comments live, please feel free to leave a comment after you watch the replay, and I'd be more than happy to answer your comments then. But I really don't know what they plan to accomplish because they've kind of messed it all up. And he really could go back to school, and that would set him new precedent. I don't think the league wants them setting that precedent. It's all messed up, man. Cincinnati's got problems. Smart Water, not sponsored, but I would love to be sponsored. Call me Smart Water. They haven't pissed him off yet. Yeah. Yeah, they haven't pissed him off yet. It could come. I mean, I don't know how many more seasons, Joseph, that Joe can get sacked as many times as he does without having an O-line before he's like, all right, guys, I'm hurting out here. Or Liquid Death. Yeah. Liquid Death. Joseph and I are waiting for a sponsorship. Please reach out, Liquid Death. outrun smart water. Unless you want smart water coming at us. Me and Joseph also like the alkaline water they got. You could be first, Liquid Death. I enjoy your products. Yeah, the only way I could see this going better for the Bengals is it now I feel like if they want to fix this relationship, they're not just going to have to give this kid what he wanted. They're going to have to give him more. Like, because the league's going to step in at some point and be like, hey, dude, like you gotta fix this with your draft pick. Because if he goes back to college, he's going to set a precedent that all draft picks can do this. And I'm sure that's the last thing the other 31 owners of the NFL teams want, because there's politics involved in this. If the NFL owners lose even a smidgen of power, they hate it. They hate the NFLPA. They don't like playing. They don't like playing by the NFLPA's rules. I'm glad the NFLPA exists for the players, but the NFL owners do not like them. They do not want the NFLPA having a say, and they certainly don't want rookies to have the option to go back to college. The NFL's got to step in eventually, like that hush hush call from Roger Goodell. Hey guys, hey, I've been watching the news and I see you guys are fucking up out there. Maybe you want to give Shemar a little call and say, hey, we're going to give you a fully guaranteed deal now. Sorry, we were just joking around. We were just being little silly guys. As long as he doesn't wear that Hartville Kitchen outfit again, they should be all right. Yeah, Hartville Kitchen. I love Hartville Kitchen. Shout out Hartville Kitchen. It's a Cleveland Akron staple. Shout out Hartville. Known for a flea market. It's a flea market that goes year round. It's pretty awesome, actually. It's huge. If you're ever in the Cleveland Akron area and you want to go to like an American version of a bazaar, that's Hartville. It's awesome. But alrighty, guys. This was going to be a short one. I was going to see if anybody was commenting in. Just kind of wanted to touch on the Shemar Stewart stuff. Because I mean, here I had to vent about him, and I'm not even a Bengals fan. I like rooting for your misery as Bengals fans. Like I like enjoying you guys going through troubles, as I'm sure you do with us. The Quinshon Judkins stuff happened. I saw the lulls from the Steelers podcasters, Bengals podcasters, Ravens podcasters, etc. I get it, but like, I almost feel bad for Bengals fans in this situation. Oh, Joseph asks, what's going on with Hendrickson? Whole lot of nothing, Joseph. No contract. After leading the league in sacks last year, zero contract. They're at an absolute standstill, just like they are with Shemar. Bengals are dug their feet into ruining the relationship with their first round draft pick and their best defensive player. Again, I just don't get it. Like, here's the thing. Even though the Browns and Myles Garrett had some drama, the Browns outwardly never said, hey, you're not worth that. Or like it never got so bad that Myles was talking ill of the Browns. He said in his letter that he didn't think he could win with us at first, which could be seen as an insult. But like, for the most part, he had nothing but nice things to say. Looks like Samson and Ford time. Yeah, for at least for the first 6 games or so. I think he'll be suspended 4 to 6 games, kind of like my call was. And people are like, oh, are they going to cut him? They're not going to cut Quinshon Judkins. They didn't cut Mike Hall. They won't cut him. It's annoying. Pisses me off. We shouldn't have to go through this as fans. But like, another thing, I see people like bashing Andrew for this, and I know people say I'm an Andrew Berry stan. Maybe I am a little bit. But like, there's no way you can put this on Andrew. Like, there were 0 red flags with Quinshon Judkins Everybody said he was a great locker room guy, zero priors, no drama in college. I don't know. I expect him to be suspended 4 to 6 games and then go from there. But yeah, no, they're not going to cut him. And I still expect Quinshawn to also be at training camp because legitimately last year Mike Hall got out of court and went straight to training camp. So week 1 starter prediction, all my money to bet for quarterback. For quarterback for the Browns, I would be guessing Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco right now. That's where I think we're heading, and that's where my hope is. My wild card dark horse bet is Shedeur Sanders. That they see enough from him in training camp that they're like, yeah, let's just roll with it. Which would be optimal. It would be the most exciting for sure if Shedeur Sanders started from week 1. Like, even if we're like kind of bad, would be all right. 4 quarterbacks on the roster week 1. No, I don't think so, Joseph. I know you and I kind of talked about this in a couple episodes, but like, I expect one to be cut or traded. We always, for those Browns fans who seem to forget, or other fans who are wondering why we have 4 quarterbacks on the roster, the Browns always keep 4 quarterbacks. Last year it was Deshaun, DTR, 2 other guy, Jameis Winston, and then there was one other guy that we kept into training camp. I can't remember. Was it Josh Dobbs that year? No, that was the previous. But the previous year was Dobbs, Rosen, Walker, and no, I'm sorry, Dobbs, Rosen, DTR, Deshaun, and then we traded Dobbs, and then we cut Josh Rosen. We always keep 4 quarterbacks, one as a trade candidate or like as a designated practice squad guy. I think they'll keep 3 quarterbacks on the roster, that being Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur, and Flacco. Senor Joseph Vincent Flacco. And that is his real middle name. I looked it up. It is Vincent, Joseph Vincent Flacco. Dude sounds like a mob boss. Actually, what he does, real quick side note. Anybody ever notice Joe Flacco looks exactly like Razor Ramon? If you're a wrestling fan, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you're not, look it up. Joe Flacco looks exactly like Razor Ramon. And I know he's old, and I know we're probably past the point of nicknames, but we should definitely call him Razor Ramon. I think that would be an awesome, awesome nickname. But alrighty. Touched on a lot, ran it a little bit, but covered the Shemar Stewart stuff. If you're going to be watching this on replay, please leave a comment. Let me know your take, especially if you're a Bengals fan. I'd love to hear your opinion on this and like where your temperature's at as far as how you're feeling about the Bengals ownership, all that good stuff, and how you're kind of taking the Shemar Stewart, Trey Hendrickson news. I would love to hear what you have to say. I'd be more than happy to respond to your comment as well. If you are new here, please like and subscribe to this content. Helps us out a lot. We're a smaller network. We're still growing, and we're trying our utmost to get to 1,000 subscribers within the coming months. And football season's ramping up. Training camp's only a couple of weeks away, a week away. And the Hall of Fame game, which kicks off NFL preseason, is at the end of the month. So we have that to look forward to as football fans right in our backyard. It'd be cool to try and make it to that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me on this edition of The Professional Fan. I will be back here on Friday. Don't know what that episode's going to be yet. Again, it's kind of the dog days of the summer where we're looking for things to talk about. I know some people wanted me to talk about the Quinshon Judkins stuff. Really don't want to go too deep into it until all the facts are laid bare. Don't really talk about other people's legal issues. It's kind of passé, if you will. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me. Stay tuned as well for our episode of The Real this upcoming Sunday. Generally, we go live around 8:30 to 9:30, sometimes a little bit later, depending. I'll be back this Friday, like I said, around the same time, 9:30. So thank you all so much for joining me this evening. I love you very much, but above all, I pray, I hope that you all stay professional. Have a great evening, folks. Thank you.